Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Briotix Health Spotlight, where we speak with providers, subject matter experts, and other key players in the field about the various aspects of worker wellness that are affecting you and your company today. Today's episode explores the current state of musculoskeletal screenings, disorders, and their solutions in the workplace. Musculoskeletal screenings encompass a range of assessments designed to evaluate different aspects of individuals' musculoskeletal systems. Targeted interventions using that data collected from assessments have led to significant reductions in injury rates and a reduction in overall musculoskeletal disorders. We're joined today by Team Supervisor from Briotix Health, Bill Griffin, here to help us learn a little bit more about how companies are working today to implement musculoskeletal screenings and reduce musculoskeletal disorders in the workplace. Bill, thanks for coming, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Hey, Matthew, thank you for having me. Like Matthew said, I'm Bill Griffin. I have been a PTA for about 10 years now, but I've been working with Briotix Health for the past 3.5 years. You lose track when you're having fun, truthfully. But I started out as a provider on site working with one of our clients doing, injury prevention. I was an ISMP, so doing injury prevention, ergonomics, things like that. Promoted to Team Supervisor 2 years ago, and I supervise people across a couple of different clients in multiple states, a lot in the Southeast, a little bit of Texas, kind of everywhere. So it's awesome.
Perfect. Let's start off by establishing what exactly we're talking about here. So when you or I say musculoskeletal disorders, musculoskeletal screenings, or musculoskeletal solutions, what does that really mean to you?
So I think it's important to know what the musculoskeletal system is really quick, and that is basically what allows you to move. So you're looking at bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, nerves, your joints, how your body's put together. If you didn't have the musculoskeletal system, you would be a sack of meat that couldn't move. So we're looking at those things. So if you have what's called a musculoskeletal disorder, you have an issue with one of those things. You might have an issue with like the shoulder joint, maybe your back, maybe your knee, something along those lines. Could be a muscle, could be one of the large muscle groups, even small muscle groups, things like that. So when you're looking at a disorder, you're looking at basically an issue with movement. It's a really good way to look at it. So a musculoskeletal screening allows us to figure out maybe what's going on with an employee. Do they have an issue? Sometimes we do screenings and people are fine, and that's fantastic. We get a baseline for how they're doing. Sometimes we go in and we find, hey, maybe this person has an issue with this movement. The important thing is to figure out why it's happening, and then what are we going to do to help that issue?
All right, well, I'm glad to be standing here right now with my musculoskeletal system intact. So in the workplace today, there's obviously this, largely renewed focus on ergonomics and overall employee wellness. How do musculoskeletal screenings play into that today?
That's a really good question. So our musculoskeletal screenings that we do allow us to kind of figure out maybe what's going on with an employee and to help them kind of optimize their workflow, right? So you could have a person who works at a desk, and we're looking at something as simple as making sure their workstation is set up to make sure that they're comfortable, they have good posture, and they're not hurting themselves by working at a desk for 8 to 10 hours a day. It could be something as in depth as looking at a person working in a factory or working on a utility line, something like that, and making sure that they're working with good posture and they're working safely. It's really important when we do these screenings to figure out how well does this person move? Does this person have any issues? Do they have a disorder? Do they have something that's preventing them from doing their job safely? And when they leave work, to be feeling good. We don't want people to leave work feeling stiff and painful and achy and it interfering with the other things they want to do in their life. We want to make sure when they leave work that they feel really good and they don't have any aches, pains, tension, tightness, things like that.
You've been a member of the industry for some time now, obviously, working as a PTA before, and now working as a supervisor after working as an industrial sports medicine provider. And working as a supervisor over many locations gives you kind of a unique insight into how musculoskeletal disorders affect every kind of workplace. What are some of those most common solutions that you see implemented in the workplace?
What I see mostly and what I did when I was on site a lot is we're looking at things to stay like within our OSHA first aid care. So we're doing things like giving them stretches. Somebody comes in and says, I have some discomfort, I have some pain, or we do a screen and find that discomfort, or we find an issue with movement, and we do things to kind of educate them. Education is one of the biggest solutions that we have. Sometimes people don't really know how to handle a problem once they know they have one. So we give them simple things like stretches or show them how to work in good posture or use their body the proper way. The body's an amazing machine if you're using it efficiently. And then one of the things that we do after that is sometimes we need to give them stretches and exercises. Maybe it's just some generalized strengthening, some really easy stretches to make sure that they can move better. It's really kind of amazing what a rapid warm up will do in 3 to 5 minutes before doing a really tasking job after that. And then sometimes some things are a little bit more pronounced or a little farther along. So we do things like biofreeze. We do things like massage in some of our clients where we have to actually dig in and feel like what's going on. We do kinesiotaping to make sure that everything's staying in alignment to help with the mechanics of the body. There's a lot of different things we can do. We can also look at the job that they're doing from an ergonomic standpoint and see, are you doing this job the most efficient way possible? Is there some kind of solution on that front we could do? Is there a way that we could teach you to do this better? Is there a way that we can look at this and find a much simpler way to do this job so it doesn't hurt or doesn't continue to cause some issues with your back, your neck, your shoulder, your knee, whatever it is?
When you're seeing these solutions being implemented in the workplace, whether it's, taping, biofree, or whether it's one of those more ergonomic solutions like changes to work requirements or, job design, job mechanics, what are you seeing in those solutions that's being implemented, and what are those root issues that they're addressing?
A lot of what we're trying to address is discomfort, and we're really trying to be proactive a lot of the times in getting to those issues before discomfort happens. So most of the issues that you're looking at is maybe it's an awkward posture, maybe it's some discomfort in the low back, or it's fatigue or tightness, those precursors to discomfort. That's where we really want to hit at first. We want to get to you before discomfort starts. So we're doing some of this taping, and the taping is not a thing like kinesiotaping. We don't do that every time. We don't want to tape you every single day, and you shouldn't be leaning on that. Education is the biggest part of this, right? So we want to get you back to where your body is working the most efficient way possible to do the job without having to use biofreeze, without having to use kinesiotaping. Rapid warm-ups are going to be great the whole year round. Truthfully, there's nothing wrong with a rapid warm-up. It's the best thing you could possibly do before doing a really tasking job. But some of these other solutions, they're just trying to teach you how to do a job the most efficient way possible, to teach your body to do it the most efficient way possible, and to make sure that we're doing it so that you don't have discomfort, so you don't have pain, so that you can do it really the most easy way possible.
I think something you mentioned there is really important, that education bit, because a lot of times people think of these discomforts as just part of the job or something that they have to deal with in the workplace. In your opinion, what's that tipping point that pushes it from something in the background that may have gone unaddressed to really a priority for not only you, but for workers to address to create a healthier and more conducive workspace, work environment?
You are 100% correct that there is a lot of people that will say it's just part of the job. Doing this job is physically taxing, whatever it is, and being achy at the end of the day or being stiff or hurting is part of the job, and it shouldn't be. So a lot of times what happens is the tipping point is when that minor ache or that minor stiffness becomes something more, when it becomes where it's really hard to do the job and it's interrupting workflow, or it's really just taxing on you to do the job. And truthfully, I think what we've gotten to now in one of the best tipping points is our ISMPs recognizing these things before they become a really significant issue. Right. And we're really focused on being proactive. We're really focused on watching people do things and observing and giving them notes and things like that. But a lot of the times, truthfully, when we're first into a site or we're first into a client, it really becomes, this is really hard for me to do, or this is really painful for me to do this job. And it shouldn't be. No job should be painful to do. So I think what happens is it becomes a tipping point where let's say you work an 8 to 5 job at 9 a.m., you're already aching and you know that you still have the rest of the day. Shouldn't be that way. We can do things to make your job easier, to make your life easier, and to make it more enjoyable, really.
I mean, that's such a good point. Just you shouldn't have to work with pain. I think that's such a good kind of slogan to end on, really, is that we don't want this, you don't want this, and there are ways to make it better. And right. There are people whose job it is to understand how to make it better. So, Bill, thank you so much for joining us. Are there any kind of last points about musculoskeletal solutions, disorders, pain, issues you want to leave us with before we jump off for the day?
Yeah, I really do. Take care of yourself. You only get one body. You need to take care of it. And when you can do any job if you do it safely and you do it efficiently and you take care of yourself while you're doing it. Pain is not part of the job, and it shouldn't be. And if it is, talk to us. Talk to one of our ISMPs. Talk to somebody in our company. We can help with those things. That's what we do. You should be able to do your job without coming home at the end of the day and feeling like you've been beat up. Not how it works. So take care of yourself. Life is awesome. Enjoy it.
Well, Billy, you've done a plug better than I ever could. So thank you so much for joining us on the Briotix Health Spotlight today. And hopefully we'll have you back in the future. Thank you so much for listening, all.
I would love to come back. Let me know.